And there are differences. GoDaddy has their new model or their new method of building AI sites within the same day, and that's amazing. When you can pay $250 for an AI website that's designed how you describe you want it designed, who wouldn't want to do that? Well, I personally wouldn't because of the security risks and the quality control and just not having it structured and coded the way that your website should be for longevity purposes. Squarespace, people like to use Squarespace because you can design a Squarespace site very, very custom, but it has SEO limitations. So there's some give and take there. WordPress is a very popular and powerful platform, but they've been dealing with a lot of technological issues over the last 5 years because of, internal litigation and disputes in the tech space. So about 7 years ago, we moved away from WordPress and we implemented a new platform or a newer platform called Webflow. It's considered the gold standard website platform nowadays, specifically because it keeps SEO, site speed, security, and many, many other things like customization and design at
Hello and welcome to the Smart Business Owner Podcast with your host Schubert. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Schubert with the Smart Business Owner Podcast. And this week we are back with a very special guest. We have Bryce Sullivan from the Digital Resources in West Palm Beach. Those guys, they do everything AI, digital marketing. So today's conversations, we're gonna pick Bryce's brand to make sure that we can extract as much value as possible out of that conversation to help you make more money. So Brice, welcome back to the show. Welcome to the show. It's your first time on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to talk through some topics today, share a bit more about the AI landscape and marketing, website development, and then just trends in the marketing space and how we could possibly assist some of the listeners with their own businesses or people that they know that might be having concerns with lead generation, getting the right kind of clients, and looking absolutely amazing online.
Yeah, this AI revolution is everywhere, or Facebook. You can't have a conversation without these topics coming up. You turn on the TV, you turn on the radio, it's everywhere. So I'm very glad that you're here today. So, but before we dive in, Brice, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you end up? I believe that you are the national sales manager at Digital Resources. Give us the backstory of you being where you're at today.
Yeah, absolutely. So it all started way back when I graduated college. I was looking around for internship opportunities, and I had been searching for places in Southwest Florida, close to my college at Fort Myers. Um, and I ended up finding an opportunity in West Palm Beach, closer to my family. I ended up putting in an application for an unpaid internship and found myself as an intern on a 3 month internship. So it's very short term. So I came in my first day, super nervous, but I slowly but surely became super comforted by the environment. When I stepped in through the door, it almost was like I walked into what felt like Google headquarters. The reason is just a young, uh, energetic and lively environment here at Digital Resource. And it only took 28 days into my 3 month internship to get hired full time. And as an account manager, I worked as a junior AM, focusing specifically on franchise, healthcare, and home service based clients. Within 6 months of being an account manager, I was promoted to a mid level account manager. And shortly after that, 6 months later, I had wanted to take a sidestep into the sales realm of things at the company. I had to start in the trenches and work my way up. So I was an SDR making cold calls and cold outreach. So I was that annoying guy, probably calling you and filling up your email inbox and LinkedIn. But I worked my way up eventually and, found myself in a position where I can eventually build up a team. I work right beneath the president and founder of our company as a national sales manager. So my journey has gone from literally bottom of the totem pole to where I am
Wow.
today, and I definitely am still trying to grow within the company and take us to where I know we can be.
Sounds very impressive. I mean, within 28 days, you know, from an internship that was supposed to be 3 months, and you say, hey, they said, hey, we want you here full time. You
Mhm.
must have done, I mean, what was your mindset? I mean, what have you done that, you know, fast track your entry to the company?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think the reason that things were so fast was when I did come into working at Digital Resource as an account manager intern. My intention, I set an intention before I stepped in these doors, and that was just to work as hard as I could and learn as much as I could. And fortunately, at Digital Resource, they push education and they push growth as one of our number one assets. So we're constantly fighting the battle of being a leading provider in the space, and having that aura around a Digital Resource, it drove me to not just continue to work hard. I've got great work ethic already, but to keep up with a lot of the intelligent people that I work with. So just putting my head in the books, reading a lot about digital marketing and client relationships, and within that short time frame, I proved myself to a handful of individuals here that felt like I was a great fit, and I'm very blessed and thankful that I had this opportunity.
Awesome, and that's great mindset. That's a very good quality to have.
Hmm.
Now, in preparing for this interview, I dig in a little bit about digital resources, and you guys emphasizes on client-centric approach.
Hmm.
Question I have for you: how do you ensure that your sales strategies align with the unique needs of each client?
Absolutely. So we align our strategies with each of the client's unique needs by following a consultative sales approach. Consultative sales has many definitions. We specifically use two different methods. We follow an author and very, very famous FBI negotiator, Chris Voss, and his ability
Yeah.
to manage conversations and communication, and how he has a very psychological approach to conversations, in uncovering what he calls the black swan, and what we call here at Digital Resource your why. So,
Is it the
in
guy
a
that might never split the difference?
never split the difference, exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's a great book, and that was one of the first things I had to do with this company was read that book, and we did many, many exams on it, and implement that into our strategy. So in addition to never split the difference, and in our sales process and the consultative selling, we also use the Sandler sales methodology. And Sandler sales, paired with never split the difference techniques, um, really creates it ensures that we create successful campaigns and client relationships. And everything that we do for our clients is done with the big picture because we understand what their why is.
Very, very good, very good. I know about Sandler training. Remember when I first started in my field, Sandler training was one of the first thing. Looking at I believe they have the sales funnel,
Hmm.
and they have the submarine. Very, very,
Sandler
very good
submarine.
system. Yeah, very good system for clients.
Mhm.
Um, in the rapidly evolving digital marketing landscape, how do you stay ahead of emerging trends such as AI to
Mhm.
maintain a competitive edge?
Yeah, so there's so many ways for businesses in general to stay ahead of the game, but one way that digital resource remains competitive is just by rewarding innovation. Our goal in 2025, leading into to 2026, is to lead with innovation. So what we do here is we're always moving the needle and pushing our teams to bring new ideas to the table. Last year, we introduced AI into a lot of our processes, and now we're creating AI agents to assist with efficiencies and performance optimizations. You'll hear a lot about AI agents in the coming months, and how people are utilizing Copilot, Gemini, ChatGPT, and a handful of others that allow you to create personal agents to assist you in making these processes efficient. We've nailed down exactly how to approach different client scenarios, how we're managing campaigns, getting assistance from these AI agents to stay ahead of the eight ball, and just really keep everything client centric and reward that innovation so that our teams are consistently moving the needle and making sure we stay ahead.
So you guys are not afraid of AI. You guys are using AI in your advantage because the thing about AI, it depends on who you talk to. Some people are dead scared of it. They think
Hmm.
that it's going to destroy humanity. It's going to take away American jobs. Uh, so I mean, I think every new technology or every changes come the unknown. And
Hmm.
I feel like the people that embrace the change early on, they tend to do better in the long run, as opposed
Hmm.
to people who resist change, because that's usually two things. Either people, embrace change or they resist it. But sounds like you guys embraced it and make it part of your system already.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely welcomed it into our strategy and our processes. And, there's something to be said with, keeping up with these trends. You'll get left behind if you don't.
Right.
And I wouldn't just define AI as a trend. It really is a paradigm shift in the digital landscape.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, AI is fabulous because they have so many different model. Do you guys have a specific models you guys use for marketing, or is the Chat GPT or Claude, any of these models out there good for what you guys are using it for?
Yeah, Claude's good, ChatGPT, I mean, Copilot, and there's so many that our creative teams can use that I could ramble off here. I don't want to give away the secret sauce or anything. They're out there, but we also have other tools that we have an internal team member who's developing our own internal AI, which has really assisted with our internal project management and also with the campaign optimizations, like I mentioned.
And the thing about AI, from my understanding, is that you can train it on a specific data to serve
Hmm.
you and only you, and also be more become more efficient in everything that you do, become an extension of you.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I'll give you an example real quick before we move on, is that I was able to upload documents on sales strategy into ChatGPT. And in these PDF documents, there were hundreds of pages. It was so much information that it would probably take the average reader maybe a couple weeks to a month if you're taking 30 minutes to an hour a day of reading to
Right.
get through all the information. ChatGPT was able to read that in milliseconds.
My
Now,
goodness.
when I have an issue in sales, or I need to overcome an objection, or I need to really get down to why is this prospect telling me these things, it will give me responses, it will give me next steps, and it'll also give me strategies on how to be more successful. So, I mean, that's a bit of a secret that I use in my day to day, but it's pretty amazing how it's starting to take over.
Yeah, I mean, as we have yet to find what AI cannot do. I mean, there's a few limitations when it comes to humans, but they are pretty. They can, AI can do a lot of things, a lot of
Hmm.
different things. So
Definitely.
let's talk about SEOs. SEO remains the cornerstone of digital marketing.
Hmm.
Uh, what strategy do you guys recommend for businesses aiming to improve their search ranking?
Yeah. So SEO is such a broad topic. It involves a ton of moving parts to come together to be successful. So we think about it as like a motor or a car. In order for your business to operate, or you can think your business as a car. In order for that car to operate, you have to have many, many moving parts that are working together. So a great way of really taking advantage of SEO is first start with a conversation with an expert to do a lot of the research. So speak with somebody like me or our team members here. we actually started as an SEO agency 11 years ago, and we remain one of the leading SEO providers for small businesses. And we start all of our SEO conversations with keyword targeting. So finding out using different tools to see who is searching for your business's services or products in a certain area, who is um, excuse me, what backlinks can we add to your website to increase your domain authority or what Google sees as your popularity ranking? And lastly, consistently putting out good, helpful content on your website through blogging or maybe just adding additional pages that could potentially serve as a resource for somebody that's looking for information online. So those are all ways that you can really take a three-pillar approach is by your keyword strategy, your backlinking, and then your content. Other words, people would say it's your on page and your off page. That's sort of how we look at it.
Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned content because that was going to be my next question. Because a lot of time you hear people talk about, you got to put content out, you got to put content out, or, you got to post it, every day, or you got to post every week. When it comes to content marketing, there's no question it is vital for any audience you're looking to engage. Can you share with us some insights from creating compelling content that resonates with your target audience, the frequency, you recommend somebody listening to post, and what platform, they can, you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. It's totally vital for audience engagement. And, we primarily leverage social platforms to benefit your search engine optimization. So Facebook and Instagram or Meta, as you could say, are what we use to cater to Google's social indicators that they're looking for. So about 20 to 30% of your business's success organically on Google is directly correlated to social indicators. How often that your business is putting out information, how much engagement you're getting, and also the type of content, so the quality. So it's frequency, the engagement, and then the quality of the content. And it's not just Facebook and Instagram. We lean towards Facebook and Instagram because they are still as a pair, the most competitive platforms and effective platforms to benefit your SEO. X, YouTube, and TikTok, as well as LinkedIn, are great ways of doing it as well. If it's within the bandwidth of your company, whether you have an employee or you use an agency, um, taking an omni-channel approach is a great method to catering to what Google is looking for to benefit your SEO rankings. Sorry, I kind of rambled there, but that's
Yeah, that's fine.
it's tying it all in together to work for you. And we also leverage A/B testing to ensure that we can stay ahead of the game since everything is constantly changing. Google is consistently moving that target, so it's important for an agency or a employee to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of search engine optimization.
What about the frequency? How often do you think somebody looking to create an audience, making a footprint on the
Mhm.
online space, how often should they do it? Every day, every 2 days, multiple times a day? What do you recommend?
It really depends. Think about the industry that you're in and reflect on, would this make sense for a landscaper or would this make sense for a jeweler to be posting 3 to 5 times a week? Or does it make sense to go all 7 days, maybe multiple times a day? It really depends. What we do is we'll research what your competitors are doing and then how Google favors certain competition in your area, so that we can plan out a method of attack. And now we're not attacking other people in some nefarious way, but a method of attack so that your business can have the best strategy going forward. So if we see that a local landscaper has 5 other local landscapers in his area that are posting 3 to 5 times a week, maybe we want to do 6 times a week just to give that little edge to help
Right.
his business boost forward.
So again, that comes into play. a lot of time people don't have the time to do the research. That's where,
Hmm.
using a professional probably going to be the best bet. But
Absolutely.
for example, for businesses that are new to digital marketing,
Mhm.
what foundational steps should they take to establish a robust online presence?
Yeah, great question. And Schubert, honestly, it starts with establishing a great website. In this website, and I say great, there's a lot of items that need to stack up to qualify your website as great. So you want to ensure that your website is fast, that it's device optimized, not just to mobile, but also to tablets, to laptops, to desktops, to TV screens, essentially everything, anywhere your website can show up. You also want to keep SEO in mind. So your meta titles, your meta description, your metadata, the images and videos on your site need to be uploaded as code, not just as a pasted image that could weigh down your site. And that leads me to your site speed. So keeping it very fast, loading within certain milliseconds, so that when the user visits your site, they stay there. Um, and then, of course, your security, building on a secure platform so you're not getting hacked or putting your website visitors at risk. Following establishing a great website, it needs to be supported by ongoing SEO and connect everything together. So your social media, your graphic design, your website, it all should connect.
So that's the first step. So
That's the
having a
first
great
step.
website and have all your social media there.
Hmm.
What's next?
So following establishing a website and setting up your social media would be
Okay.
devising a plan on how frequently you're going to be posting, what type of content, and then what's your ideal audience online? You know,
All right.
are you primarily going after a younger demographic? In that sense, you're going to want to ensure that your content is tailored specifically to that demographic. And if you service everybody, you're going to want to make sure you have methods of targeting each individual sector of demographics.
Now, when it comes to the website, there's many different platforms. There is Wix. There is what's the name of the other one?
There's WordPress,
WordPress.
Squarespace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, any of them, are they all the same, or is there a difference between the type of platform you have your website on? And if there
Yeah,
is,
they
can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
yeah. And there are differences. You know, GoDaddy has their new model or their new method of building AI sites within the same day, and that's amazing. When you can pay $250 for an AI website that's designed how you describe you want it designed, who wouldn't want to do that? Well, I personally wouldn't because of the security risks and the quality control and just not having it structured and coded the way that your website should be for longevity purposes. Squarespace, people like to use Squarespace because you can design a Squarespace site very, very custom, but it has SEO limitations. So there's some give and take there. WordPress is a very popular and powerful platform, but they've been dealing with a lot of technological issues over the last 5 years because of, internal litigation and disputes in the tech space. So about 7 years ago, we moved away from WordPress and we implemented a new platform or a newer platform called Webflow. It's considered the gold standard website platform nowadays, specifically because it keeps SEO, site speed, security, and many, many other things like customization and design at its forefront. So we build on Webflow to ensure that our clients are getting the top quality while also staying within a relatively affordable budget.
Very good, very good. Now, talking about budget, that was going to be my next question.
Mhm.
Budget constraints are among, all small businesses. How can they maximize their marketing effort without overspending?
Absolutely. So small businesses with less budget should still entertain a conversation with an expert to gather the information and see custom plans that would make their business successful, even if it takes them more than one small step at a time. You get a plan, you get this proposal from a company like us. You get to see outline that it starts with a website, then your social media, then you can go to your digital ads, then it's your local listings, your review management, and I could go deeper and deeper and deeper. But when you start to add up these expenses, you go from $120 to 500 to 1,000 to $3,000 a month, and that might not be digestible for every business out there. So it's
Right.
important to take one small step at a time, figure out what that most important step is, and then jump headfirst into doing it. Make that leap, learn, learn, learn. See what it takes to get your business performing the best that it absolutely can online. And if you have the budget available to get started with an agency, even if it takes just one small step, you definitely should. I totally encourage it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Ed Milet is the one who said that when you have, as a business owner, you should have a goal to get better every day. You
Hmm.
know, even though you may not be able to do all the tasks that you want to do and accomplish the goal in one day, but at least do something towards that goal.
Absolutely.
If the goal is to become very good at social media, at least starting with a website and having a good website, good online presence. And, if you cannot afford the agency, but at least you have somebody visit your website, it looks good and it's
Hmm.
fast. So,
Absolutely.
you know, like you were saying, you have to spend money to make money,
Exactly.
especially for business owners. Uh, Now, the social media marketing is a very particular field when it comes to measuring success.
Hmm.
So when it comes to digital marketing campaign, what's some of the KPI, key performance indicators do you prioritize to access uh, campaign effectiveness?
Yep. So immediately, I'm just going to answer this one straightforward. Conversion rate. Conversion rate is what we look at to determine the success of a campaign, and that's what all business owners are going to look at. But there's a lot of other metrics that tie into calculating your conversion rate, and I think that's important because those smaller metrics can tell a story. So we always discuss internally that the numbers tell you a story. They don't speak in our English terms, but they do tell you what's going on and how can we make changes to best optimize your campaigns. So on social media, for instance, let's say we're doing a Facebook and Instagram campaign and we're a local assisted stretching business looking to get free intro sessions through the door so that we can sell them on buying a membership. Just a small local service company. We're gonna leverage the caption, the call to action, the images and videos that'll get impressions. Impressions are the number of times that your ad appears on someone's screen. Your
On Facebook?
reach, how many potential people, how many potential devices can you reach in an area? Facebook gives you a range. So Palm Beach County, if we narrow it down and target anybody that's 45 and up, between 45 and 65, that's interested in pickleball, that is retired and has an income of more than 100,000 a year, we will go after that person and see how many impressions it takes for someone to take an action on the ad, and then measure what's the cost per lead. And we can determine how much budget it's going to take for a business to get X amount of new customers from how many leads it takes to convert to get an ROI from that campaign. So we do sort of a model where we work backwards from your conversion rate to what it's going to take to get an ROI, and then your impressions, so that um, we could tailor the content to see what is the most capturing ad that we can put out there. So what's the most effective?
Do you guys use software to calculate or to see these numbers, the amount of click-through rate, impressions?
Hmm. Yep. So
Okay.
Meta has the business suite or the business manager that allows you to see all of this information. But we use Google Looker Studio to build out custom dashboards for our clients that give them access to all of the KPIs across all of their campaigns. So we can take Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Ahrefs, SpyFu, Moz, Google Keyword Planner. Um, Facebook Business Manager, and a handful of others. And we use webhooks and different connections to present those different numbers into one platform to make it easier for somebody to access it all.
Now, out of all this system, it can seems to be overwhelming. So, in your experience, which one of those systems, let's just say somebody's just starting out, which one of these systems you think it's more appropriate or you see people using most of the time? Is it
Um,
Google? Is it Google Ads? Is it Facebook? Give us some insight.
for a first-time user.
Yeah, I mean, just starting out, they have a brand new website, and then okay,
Mhm,
they want to start doing some marketing. What do you
mhm.
typically see people do?
Well, let's say it's a new business. They are a local company and they're a roofer. That's very popular. There's a ton of roofers, it's very saturated, but how are you going to make the most of your advertising dollars, or what would be the best step for you to be successful right off the bat? That's a big concern that we get for a lot of business owners. Bryce,
Right.
I'm frustrated that I don't know how to set up a campaign. I'm concerned I'm not going to get enough leads or customers, and I'm annoyed that the big guys or the well-established companies are just totally monopolizing on the area. So we'll look at competition, and the recommendations I would make go based off of their sales process. So this is going back to that consultative approach. What can I learn about ABC Roofing Company that can tell me what I think would be the best fit for their strategy? If he tells me that um, they have a super strong sales team with 8 sales reps that are sitting by the phone. They're not only cold calling, but they're also taking warm leads. I think I would recommend a campaign that's going to get them a lot of volume. You know, if it's a strong sales team and they can take a lot of leads throughout the day, Facebook ads would be great. Backtrack a little bit. If I find out that this roofing company is a one-man show, or it's a family-owned and operated business with just a husband-wife combo, the wife is the office manager, the husband's the sales guy, the operations. Um, I think I'm going to lean towards more of a Google Ads or some type of search campaign that will drive phone calls to them, so they're less worried about staying up with a cadence to be in touch and have more of a active sales process. Instead, it's more of like a passive approach to get them inbound traffic instead of putting a ton of effort into reaching out and doing phone calls. Does that make
Makes
sense?
sense. Makes sense. Yeah, it does. Now, all these things, a lot of people could be hearing these things, but example make things clearer. Can
Hmm.
you share with us some success stories that you've seen? Because you obviously been doing that for quite some times now. Share
Hmm.
a few stories with us, and as far as the success story of a business owner that you've been working with, and then what
Yeah.
they've seen in the practices.
Yeah, I think, the first one that comes to mind is a local doctor, and I won't name names here, but this doctor had worked with us for over 5 years, almost 6 years. We built his website a while ago.
What type
Um,
of doctors? Is it orthopedic, dentist? What are we talking
he's a dentist. He's a
about?
dentist, an
Okay,
oral surgeon, focuses primarily on doing full mouth restoration. So getting people those nice, pretty smiles. And he had a very passionate approach to his dentistry. He understood that your confidence comes from your smile. That
it
is your
does.
first impression.
Right.
Um, so I always try to smile. I've been told I've got these cute little dimples, and sometimes it's hard to fend off the old ladies that are pinching my face still. I'm totally kidding. But
Right.
anyways, back to the success story. So this doctor, he was already super successful. His practice did around $3.5 million a year, and in the dental space, the average practice does around 800 to 1.2 million. So he's in that $3 to $4 million mark, and his goal was to be at 6 million. So a very, very aggressive goal. And obviously, I mentioned he's doing high level cases, full mouth restorations that can cost anywhere between 25 and 50 grand, depending on the type of um, type of like tools and teeth that he was going to be
Right.
implementing in the surgery.
The procedure he was going to do.
Exactly. So within 1 year of optimizing his site, adding our real live chat agent to his website, which is managed by a real human. We did Yelp ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, programmatic targeting with geofencing, and so much more. We're able to generate him $1.5 million in just 12 months, which is
Wow.
an insane amount of money. And it allowed him to invest in 3 more practices that he opened up, not just locally, but he branched out to Vero Beach. He put one in Port St. Lucie, Jupiter, and also Palm Beach Gardens. And to this day, is still a very, very successful doctor.
Wow. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Again,
Hmm.
you have to spend money to make money. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm
But
sure
I'll, I'll tell you,
it wasn't. Go ahead.
I'll tell you in another scenario where it's not just about the amount of money to invest that makes you successful. I will name drop this guy. His name was Jake Fury, a young guy, former professional lacrosse player up in New Jersey, and he had an assisted stretching concept that he knew he could make successful. He called us, and he was 2 days away from closing down his business. He had only $1,000 left to his name, and we were able to coach him through giving us this opportunity. Give us the opportunity to make your business successful, and you will not regret it. So we end up setting this guy up with his 4 locations with just $1,000 left to his name. And now he has 8 locations, and he's actually setting up an FDD to start franchising this concept today. So this guy, it's Stretch Recovery Lounge. I mean, he is one of the best success stories we have, and it only took him $1,000 to be
Wow.
successful. And now look at him. He's got over 8 personally owned locations. He's starting to franchise, and it does take money to make money, but also if you've got the spirit and the work ethic and you know that you can take a calculated risk, that's also a great opportunity for you as well.
Yeah, it's always daunting. Somebody with $1,000 left to their name. Why should I give it to those guys at digital resource? And
Hmm.
maybe it won't work because people sometimes they tend to be skeptical,
Definitely.
and sometimes they even, go beyond being skeptical. They are outright negative. So it's like the same thing as a farmer that have those seeds, those last few seeds. He can do two things. He can cook them and eat them, and that's the last one he's probably gonna eat, or he can
Hmm.
put it into Mother Earth and wait 6 months, a year, and maybe he'll get a lot more, but it's no guarantee.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's a great metaphor, a way to put it. It's like inevitably you reap what you sow. So
right.
that it goes a long way with saying that.
Yeah. Now, with the rise of mobile usage, how important is mobile optimization or responsiveness when it comes to marketing strategies?
Man, so going back to the website stuff, it is not just encouraged nowadays, it's essential. You can no longer have your website not be mobile optimized or not be fit to all of the devices. Um, there's so much competition out there now that it will hurt your business more neglecting building a website or having a platform be mobile optimized. So I can't stress how essential it is. And the data has truly shifted over the years that just shows that well over half the US citizens are using their mobile devices or their tablets to complete a search or take an action online. So with that being said, it's essential for businesses to align their strategies with the mobile usage within the country.
I'm old enough to remember a time where people were scared of using their credit card online.
Yeah.
They would be, remember the 90s, people would be scared, oh, you can steal your information. People wouldn't use. Now, these days, more than a half of all the purchases that are done on the over the internet. That's,
Hmm.
it's fascinating how things can change on a dime.
Absolutely.
Now, reflecting on your career, obviously very successful. What achievement are you most proud of, and what
Hmm.
lessons have they imparted?
Yeah. Um, I'm proud of a lot of things thus far. I'm very young in my career. I'm going into my fifth year. I'm 4 years at Digital Resource. So my first year here, and I'm so proud of this. I've got the trophy somewhere here, but I received a Rookie of the Year for outstanding performance. I got it
Wow.
completely out of left field. We're at our annual DR bash or DR day, where we usually go out. We'll have a guest speaker. We'll talk about the following year's goals. Um, and then just have a great time. So we did a bunch of like team building events, and at the end, I hear my former boss here, our current director of client operations, Nate. He was mentioning, he's like, this reward goes out to one of those guys that just has a no quit attitude and just consistently learned and learned and learned. And although he's not on my team anymore, he's still a very close peer, and I'm looking forward to seeing the success that he has at the company, something along those lines. And called my name up, and I got goosebumps. I felt like crying. I was like, this is amazing. Like I work for these times where you get recognition, and those are one of those things
Right.
I reflect on, and I think to myself, I go, this is what comes from hard work, dedication, and discipline. Um, and then uh, also after I stepped into my sales role, I brought on our third largest franchise client in history of the company. So um, and now today, I'm working on growing the partnerships and the relationships here, and potentially bringing on more franchise brands. I've signed on 3 this year, and I'm not just bragging on my sales skills here, but I'm really thankful
Right.
that my
You might as
team,
well.
without my team and their performance, like none of this would be possible. I lean on data heavily. I am not a super convincing guy. I just rely on the data that we're able to do and the results we're able to generate. And those are some things I'm proud of. And a lesson that it's imparted on me is that, you know, haste makes waste. If you move and you do things too quickly, um, you'll make mistakes. So slow is smooth and smooth is fast, and an old Navy SEAL saying. And again, something that Nate taught me is that you just gotta be very clear, very concise, calculated, and slow things down. So haste makes waste.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like the old saying. I mean, I think it was in the Bible. I read it.
Yeah.
Slow and steady always win the race.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going too fast will make mistake. You're going too slow, you're never gonna get there. But if slow but steady, you're definitely gonna get
Absolutely.
there. The digital
Absolutely.
marketing industry is dynamic. What challenges have you faced, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it on the last question, and I tend to ramble, but I have overcome the challenge of oversaturation in this market.
Okay,
If you Google digital marketing company near me, you could go, I'm pretty sure that's the most
a
pages on
ton.
Google. Like, there's easily over 200 different digital marketing agencies within a 10-mile radius of Palm Beach County. So, one thing that I use to overcome the oversaturation in this market is, again, our client success. I wouldn't be able to do it without such a great team, and there's no easier way to overcome somebody's opposition to working with you than showing him the proof in the pudding. And it time and time again is the best way to get somebody to work with you and trust you is by literally having the data that proves that we can really kick some butt here. So that's one way of doing it.
So yeah, it definitely almost it's kind of like real estate in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody have a real estate license, and social media marketing allow people to have it. You know how to use Facebook, and next thing you know, they're starting an agency, and
Mm-hmm.
they want to sell social media. But not everybody know what they're doing. Most people will say that they have an agency, they have digital marketing agencies,
Mm-hmm.
and some do know what they're talking about. Most of them don't. So I can understand the oversaturations. So many choices people are seeing, and confusion sometimes. You don't know what works. You don't know who can solve your problem. So
Mm-hmm.
that can be a real problem. Now you mentioned
Absolutely.
Nate briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming he's one of the guy you learned from, one of the
Yeah.
many mentors. Can you talk a little bit about some of the mentors you have had in these industries, and some of the life lessons you've learned from them?
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad for sure is number one up there as far as it goes with mentors and inspirations that had a huge impact on my career. Um, He has been in the health, wellness, fitness space for years and years. He's been franchising. He helped grow Orange Theory Fitness over the last 15 years from just two locations based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to thousands. I think it's 1,500 now internationally. And then I mentioned Nate, our director of client operations. I mean, the guy is just such a sponge. He's constantly learning and he's constantly pushing his team to be better and better. Um, there's big futures for him here, and I'll definitely always lean on him for my growth and any advice I need in the future. But you know, those two have left me with lessons that I'll continue to share throughout my career and my growth. And one of those is just to stay consistent. Discipline is a
Fantastic.
big is a is a motto of mine. Like I just staying disciplined and consistent will get you to your goal. I picture it like when you look at a globe of the earth, it looks very smooth, right?
Right,
Um, but nobody really realizes that when you do look at it, it's very rigid. There's a lot of bumps and grooves and everything like that. And same
right.
thing with your growth over the years. If you zoom in super closely to how things have progressed in your life, there's peaks and valleys, there's ups and downs and
Right.
whatnot.
It's
When you
not
zoom
linear.
out, exactly, when you zoom out and you see that over the years, you're actually trending upward. And that's what that consistency and discipline will do for you.
Yeah. There's a guy that I followed. I mean, he's an author, former Navy
Hmm.
SEAL. His name is Jocko Willink. I don't know if you ever watch any of these videos.
Oh yeah.
He's big. I think there's Jocko Willink, and also there's another guy. He's on Instagram too. I saw him training with one
Hmm.
of the UFC guys, Israel Adesanya, I think.
Oh yeah,
What's his
yeah.
name?
David Goggins, yeah.
David Goggins. So those guys, they are big when it comes to not just discipline, but self-discipline, because
Yep.
they believe that discipline doesn't come from somebody else, from a drill sergeant. It comes from you. You have to stay self-disciplined. You have to discipline
Hmm.
yourself, stay consistent, and that's where the consistency comes into play. Don't
Yep.
be just disciplined when the drill sergeant is telling you to do 10, 15 push-ups. Do it even there's nobody watching, there's nobody around, and then you're still doing the job. So, well said.
Yeah.
Now, looking ahead, Brice, what innovations or trend do you foresee shaping the future of digital marketing?
Yeah, and I've been excited to talk about this. I think that within the next 3 to 5 years, Schubert, we are going to see a big shift in AI-powered personalization, um, the visual and voice search. If you even use your phone right now and talk to Siri, hopefully she doesn't pop up here. Um, you could see that now they are using AI and ChatGPT to answer questions. I think we're going to get more predictability when it comes to campaigns. Um, Augmented reality is something that I've discussed with a few peers here, and how in the gaming world and even with Apple, what are they called? Lenses, or I think they're Google lenses and they're Apple Vision Pro or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Um, the Meta
And of course, Meta,
headsets.
yeah, the
Yeah,
glasses.
exactly. Those glasses. And I think advertising is going to change. It's going to open up such a large way for us to find new ways to advertise. Like it's almost going to be like billboards, but digitally. Um, and then a couple last things here is that uh, I think that in marketing, lead nurturing is very important. So I think those systems and having an automated approach is going to make a big difference with AI, and how we're going to be able to tell how someone's going to respond, and we're going to respond properly. And it could potentially replace the salesperson online, but it's not going to take away that salesperson connection physically. But those are a couple things that I think off the top of my head are going to be big momentous changes with AI in the landscape of digital marketing.
Yeah, I think these are some big nuggets. I think
Hmm.
what you just mentioned here, I think it's under our nose, but I didn't realize that the voice was going to be the next big thing.
Hmm.
Uh, I cannot tell you how many times I have somebody from Google call and say, "Hey, you don't have voice set up on your website, and and you're seeing this." I'm like, "Okay, that's why they keep calling." These people they want to do voice search. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, definitely with especially with this new AI model where you can just interact with those models. Having those things implemented on the website early on, because you want to be the early adopter, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
saying to go do these things, but I think there's an advantage of being an early adopter when it comes to technology specifically, because if you're not one of the early adopter, you're gonna fall behind sooner
yeah,
or later, because everybody's gonna fall on the bandwagon, and by that time you're gonna be way behind the eight ball.
definitely.
Are there any upcoming initiative or projects at the Digital Resource that you are excited about?
Yeah, so I'm excited for a couple things. I'm excited for my role development here. I'm looking forward to growing the company in new ways through partnerships, through using AI outreach, and then potentially bringing on more team members to work alongside on my team. My goal is to really grow internally, find new systems to promote internal growth, like with our current clientele, cross-selling, upselling, and then predictively doing that. So setting up timings of when it's appropriate to reach out to a client to set them up with their next campaign. Like if they're starting small and we tell them, hey, in 90 days we're going to check in and we're going to set you up with that new platform. I want to set that up. So those are some things I'm working on right now with the team, and eventually maybe like 6 to 12 months from now we'll look into bringing on some new team members to increase the number of clients we bring on per month.
Well said. For someone that wants to be you, they want to be the
Hmm.
next genius when it comes to digital marketing. What advice do you have for those young guys out there that wants to be, Bryce?
Hmm. Well, I think I'd start with sharing to some of these young guys and girls out there is just to be prepared to learn and unlearn things very quickly. I say unlearn very quickly because so many things are changing, and with that being said, you'll have to learn new ways of doing stuff. You know, SEO back in the day used to just be finding some website that can point back to yours and you're beating that local guy easily, no problem. Now, you have to combine so many aspects of your business to be successful online. Um, so I would tell these young guys and gals out there to just be prepared to be a sponge, learn as much as you can, and you know, if you want to be challenged, this is the industry for you for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't touch on PRE, Professional Referral Network, because
Of
this is
course.
where I met you. So, can you tell us, how long you've been part of the group? How did you find the group? How long you've been part of the group? And how, being part of the group, has the success been so far?
Yeah, so I started in PRE, I believe back in February. I met Chrissy Brainey. She is a branding and photographer expert. Just by happenstance, I was at a local restaurant called Thirsty Turtle, and I had been talking about my company, and she had mentioned that there is a local networking group based in Jupiter, and I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. I'm trying to get our name established in Jupiter and Palm Beach County. So what better way to do that than to connect with leading professionals in the space? So I knew at the first meeting that it was going to be a great fit, but you get 3 free visits, and I was like, hey, why don't we just ride this out?
Right,
So I end up signing up, and I've had the opportunity to present to all of you via, Canva presentation, and it went on Facebook Live. And I've actually received people reaching out to me, saying that they've worked with us in the past, and they are going to reach out to us again to get things started. I've also had just the group in general. These professionals are great to work with. It is a solid squad, and it's been great having the support and the resources needed to succeed anywhere. Like I've got a real estate transaction happening soon, and um, Nate Servideo, our mortgage guy, is my lender. I've got Dawn Perry, who helps me with, some of those restless nights when you have a hard time sleeping, and she has these homeopathic um uh, gummies that you can take that help you sleep without making you feel groggy, and recovery tablets and all that stuff for when you're
right,
sore. And the list can go on. Brittany,
right.
that's helped me with my insurance for my property. Like it's such a plentiful group and a great opportunity for any professional in the area to take advantage of a great support group and resources for your business.
Yeah, one thing that I said, you can't go wrong by having over 20 business owners, seasoned business owner, I might add, in a
Hmm.
room. You work, you're meeting with them on a weekly basis and not finding value. It's very, very difficult not to find
Hmm.
value. So I'm glad to hear that. If anybody, want to get a hold of you, Brice, how can they do that?
So, best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone, and I'll share it here. It's 512-820-6599. You can give me a call or shoot me a text. Email is another way to get a hold of us. But if you happen to find us online, which I would be surprised if you didn't, by just Googling digital resource or your digital resource, you can find us and you can see a ton of information on our website. We have a form you can complete that will give you a free digital audit for your business, whether you exist already, whether you're trying to start up a new company. Our goal is to put together the best plan and course of action for you to be successful online. And if you see that there's a fit to work with us, we'd love the opportunity to do so.
Outstanding, man. Well, Brice, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Schubert. Appreciate it.
Of course. Now, hey, folks, this is it. I hope you learned a ton. Brice shared a ton of information with us. So until next time, see you next week. You've been listening to the Smart Business Owner Podcast. See you in the next episode.